Hello dear friends, and welcome back to Golden Seniors Living, where small spaces, seasoned hands, and simple joys bloom into beauty every day. If you've ever looked at your garden and thought, it just needs something more, you're not alone. Those beautiful magazine spreads with their crisp, defined edges make such a difference, don't they? But who wants to pay those landscaper prices or struggle with heavy materials? We may not be laying stone paths or digging deep trenches anymore, but that doesn't mean we can't create elegance at our feet. After all, we've spent decades learning that sometimes the simplest touches make the biggest difference. Today, I'll show you 7 DIY garden edging and border ideas that are budget-friendly, me-friendly, and, dare I say, look downright luxurious. Each one takes just an afternoon, uses materials you might already have, and creates that finished look that makes neighbors wonder if you hired professionals. Tip number 5 may just be the simplest, most magical garden edge you'll ever see. It costs almost nothing but looks like it belongs in a high-end garden tour. If that sounds like your cup of tea, give us a little like, subscribe, and let's step into the garden. After all, beauty doesn't need to be expensive or difficult, it just needs to be thoughtfully placed. Tip 1. Brick edges with mossy magic. Let's start with something many of us might have sitting behind the shed or garage: old bricks. Those leftover pieces from projects past are about to become garden gold. Have you noticed how expensive those fancy garden centers make edging look? Well, here's our secret: aged brick has more character than anything new could ever offer. Here's all you need to do: lay your bricks in a shallow trench, just an inch deep, along your garden edge. You can place them at a slight angle for a classic look or lay them flat for a cleaner edge. Work at your own pace, perhaps just a few feet each day while enjoying your morning garden time. What makes this perfect for us is how simple the installation is. No cement needed. No perfect measurements. Just place them where they look right to your eye. Remember, gardens aren't meant to be perfect, they're meant to be lived in and loved. Now, here's where the magic happens. Over time, a gentle patina of moss will softly embrace those bricks, especially in partially shaded areas. That natural aging process gives your garden the look of established elegance that no new installation could ever achieve. Every step becomes a stroll through an English garden. That soft, velvety green peeking between weathered clay bricks? It's the garden equivalent of finding silver in your hair, a sign of character that only time can bestow. And the best part? While younger gardeners are power washing moss away, we know better. We know that some things are more beautiful with age. Now, if bricks aren't readily available, wait until you see what we can do with something you might have left over from your last roof repair. Tip 2. Recycled roof tiles as rustic curves. Have you ever noticed those curved terracotta roof tiles? Those half cylinders that often find themselves in a landfill after a roofing project? Well, they're about to become the star of your garden edge. Next time you see a neighbor re-roofing, ask if you might take a few of those curved tiles off their hands. Or check your local salvage yard, they're usually just $1 or $2 a piece. Here's what makes them perfect: the natural curve creates an elegant scalloped edge without any cutting or shaping on your part. Nature, or rather, the tile maker, has done all the work for you. Simply place these curved tiles on their sides, nestling them slightly into the soil along your flower bed edge. The gentle terracotta color brings immediate Mediterranean charm to any garden. It's like a little piece of Tuscany right in your backyard. What makes this approach particularly wonderful for us is that these tiles are lightweight but stable. You can arrange them while comfortably seated on your garden stool, no heavy lifting required. And they're wide enough to act as a barrier for mulch or soil without needing to dig deep. If you'd like, burst them with a little yogurt mixed with water and they'll develop a beautiful aged patina even faster. That's a little trick I learned from my grandmother. Sometimes the old ways really are the best. Who knew old roofing could make your garden red carpet ready? It's a beautiful reminder that what matters isn't how much we spend, but how creatively we see the world around us. But what about evening garden strolls? Our next idea brings both beauty by day and gentle guidance by night. Tip 3. Solar light borders, glow and glam. Let's talk about garden borders that serve double duty, defining your spaces beautifully by day while lighting your path by night. Those inexpensive solar path lights you see at garden centers and hardware stores? They're not just for illuminating walkways. Placed closely together, they create a stunning border that transforms as the sun sets. Here's how simple it is. Choose solar lights with stakes, the kind that push easily into soil. Space them evenly, about 8 to 12 inches apart, along your garden edge. For the most elegant look, select lights with simple designs and similar heights. During daylight hours, they create a clean, defined edge that gives your garden that manicured look. But as evening falls, they begin their real magic, casting a gentle glow that outlines your garden beds like stars tracing constellations. What makes this approach particularly wonderful for us is the improved visibility it brings to evening garden enjoyment. As our eyes change with the years, having these gentle lights guiding the way means we can still enjoy twilight moments in the garden without worry. Installation couldn't be easier on aging knees and backs. The stakes push straight into the soil with minimal pressure, no digging, no bending for extended periods. And most come with simple on-off switches if you prefer not to have them illuminate every night. I've found that the warm white lights bring a particularly elegant look, like having your garden softly spotlit for a special evening performance. And unlike many borders, this one changes with the setting sun, giving your garden two distinct personalities. Wait till you see what we do with forks in tip number 6. But first, let's explore how to bring natural warmth to your garden edges. Tip 4. Log slices or wood rounds, nature's polished look. Nature provides some of the most beautiful garden edging materials, and this next idea brings the forest right to your flower beds. Remember that tree you had to take down last year? Or perhaps your neighbor did. Those logs might hold the secret to beautiful garden edging that looks both rustic and refined. All you need are slices of logs, like wooden coins, cut about 2 inches thick. Many garden centers now sell these pre-cut, or perhaps a friendly neighbor with a chainsaw might help. Tree services will often leave you these slices if you ask when they're working nearby. To create your border, simply place these wooden rounds side by side, nestled halfway into the soil along your garden edge. You can position them vertically like miniature fence posts, or lay them flat to create a lovely scalloped edge. What makes this idea perfect for us is its connection to nature. There's something deeply satisfying about bringing the warmth of wood into our garden design. And unlike heavy stone, these wood rounds are lightweight enough to position while wearing garden gloves and sitting comfortably on a stool. For extra protection, brush the tops with a clear water-resistant sealer. This extends their life and brings out the beautiful grain patterns, all those stories of seasons written in rings of growth. Simple, earthy, and just rustic enough to look intentional. These natural borders create a seamless transition between your cultivated garden and the wider natural world. They're particularly stunning alongside native plantings or cottage garden flowers. As they weather to silvery gray, they take on the distinguished look of a garden that's been lovingly tended for generations. Rather like gardeners ourselves, wouldn't you say? But if you're looking for something more contemporary, our next idea brings clean lines and designer appeal without the designer price tag. Tip 5. Concrete block end caps. Now, for something completely different, a modern, clean-lined border that looks like it came straight from a high-end landscape architect's portfolio. You may have seen those sleek concrete edgers in garden magazines, the kind with smooth surfaces and crisp edges that give gardens a contemporary feel. Well, I'm about to show you how to achieve that same look for pennies on the dollar. The secret? Concrete block end caps. These are the flat, finished pieces used to top off concrete block walls. They're available at any building supply store for just a couple of dollars each, and they transform into elegant garden edging with almost no effort. Simply place these clean, rectangular blocks end to end along your garden border. You can set them flat on the ground as a mowing strip, or sink them partway into the soil for a more integrated look. Their substantial weight means they stay in place without mortar or fasteners. What makes this approach particularly wonderful for us is the flexibility it offers. If you're having a strong day, you might place several. On days when lifting feels challenging, even setting 1 or 2 gives you progress. And the clean lines mean precision isn't crucial, they look good even with small gaps between them. For extra visual interest, consider painting them a subtle color that complements your home or garden furnishings. A soft charcoal gray or terracotta wash can elevate them from building materials to designer accents. Your backyard just got designer style for pocket change. This is the border that makes visitors wonder if you hired professionals and will never tell them otherwise. But what if you're looking for something with a touch more whimsy? Something that brings smile and sparkle to your garden? Our next idea might surprise you. Tip 6. Vintage forks as whimsical wire holders. Now, let's head to the kitchen, or better yet, the thrift store, for one of the most charming garden borders you'll ever create. Those mismatched silver-plated forks you find at second-hand shops for pennies? They're about to become garden art that makes people stop and smile. Here's the magic. Take old forks, the more ornate the handles, the better, and gently bend the tines to create a curve. Then push the handle end into the soil along your garden edge, leaving those curved tines arching above ground. Now, we've thinned garden wire through the tines, connecting fork to fork like a miniature fence. The result is a delicate, sparkling border that looks like fairy garden architecture. What makes this idea particularly wonderful for us is that it can be created entirely while seated at a table. Bend the forks comfortably indoors, then take them out to the garden and press them in one by one, without straining your back or knees. The silvery glint catches sunlight and adds unexpected sparkle to your flower beds. And the best part? These are lightweight enough to move seasonally or change whenever your garden design evolves. For extra charm, choose forks with different patterns on their handles. The variation adds character and makes each section of your border unique. Visitors will be enchanted by these little details that show both creativity and personality. Gardening tip or dinner party decor? You decide. But I guarantee it will be a conversation starter that sets your garden apart from any other on the block. Our final border idea brings color and pattern into play, proving that garden edges don't have to be neutral to be elegant. Tip 7. Painted roof slates or tiles as statement borders. For our final idea, let's combine practicality with artistic expression to create borders that are truly one of a kind. Flat roof slates or tiles make perfect garden edges on their own, but with a little paint, they become garden jewels that showcase your personal style. Start by collecting flat roofing slates, the kind used on older homes, from salvage yards or building reuse centers. They're usually available for very little cost as leftovers from projects. Their natural dark color and interesting texture already make them attractive borders. But here's where we add our signature. Paint simple patterns on them, stripes, dots, flowers, or even house numbers if they're bordering your front garden. Use exterior paint that stands up to weather, applying it while comfortably seated at your patio table. To install, simply press these decorated slates vertically into the soil along your garden edge, leaving about half their height showing above ground. Their natural weight helps them stay firmly in place. What makes this approach particularly wonderful for us is the creative expression it allows. Those hands that have created beauty for decades, whether through cooking, crafting, or career, can now bring that same artistic touch to the garden. The contrast between the natural slate and your painted designs creates visual interest that changes with the seasons. In spring, they stand out against fresh green growth. By summer, they become accents among lush plantings. And in winter, they add color to an otherwise dormant garden. Art meets function, and your flower beds smile back. It's a beautiful reminder that gardens, like the gardeners who tend them, should express personality and joy, not just follow rules. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on how these simple borders transform not just our gardens, but our experience of them. Before we move on, let me share a few thoughts about plants that particularly enhance these garden borders. After all, a frame is only as beautiful as the picture it surrounds. With our brick and mossy edging from tip number 1, consider planting low-growing herbs like thyme or chamomile nearby. They'll spill gently over the edge, softening the transition and releasing fragrance when you brush past. Perfect for engaging those senses that, like fine wine, only improve with age. For our terracotta tile borders, Mediterranean herbs like lavender and rosemary make natural companions. Their silver-blue foliage echoes the warm tones of the clay while bringing drift of scent that can transport you to Italian hillsides with just one deep breath. Solar light borders shine most beautifully when paired with plants that move in evening breezes, ornamental grasses, or the delicate white blooms of Nicotiana that release their perfume at dusk. It's like having nature dance in the spotlight you've created. Wood round edges pair wonderfully with woodland plants, ferns, hostas, and native wildflowers that echo the natural origin of your border material. This creates a harmony that feels like a garden that grew naturally rather than being constructed. With modern concrete block edges, consider clean-lined plants with architectural form, perhaps a row of liriope for its strappy leaves, or the structural beauty of small ornamental grasses like blue fescue. The contemporary lines of the border deserve equally distinctive plant companions. For our whimsical fork borders, plant delicate blooms like alyssum, lobelia, or sweet peas that match the airy quality of your silverware edging. The delicacy of the flowers will complement the delicacy of your border. And finally, with painted slate edges, choose flowers that pick up the colors in your designs. If you've painted blue patterns, blue lobelia or ageratum will create a harmonious echo. If you've used yellows, a drift of coreopsis brings sunshine that amplifies your artistic expression. Remember, these pairings don't require digging large areas or managing difficult plants. Even a small cluster of the right companions can elevate your border from merely practical to absolutely magical. See? A few bricks, some old forks, even leftover roof tiles, and suddenly your garden looks like a magazine cover, without the price tag or the backache. Isn't it wonderful how the simplest solutions often create the most beautiful results? What I love most about these border ideas is that they honor two things simultaneously: the materials being given new purpose, and your ability to create beauty without strain. Both deserve that respect and care. The beauty isn't just in the materials, it's in the hands that place them. Hands like yours, steady and seasoned. Hands that have created homes and raised families and tended gardens through countless seasons. There's wisdom in those hands that no landscaping company can match. I think that's why these simple borders look so right in our gardens. They aren't mass-produced or machine-installed. They carry the gentle imperfections and thoughtful placement that come from a gardener who understands patience. Who knows that gardens, like people, reveal their true character over time. No need to dig deep or spend big. Just a little love, a little imagination, and a border becomes a frame for something special. A frame that says, "Look here, there's beauty worth noticing." And isn't that a wonderful gift to give ourselves and anyone who passes by our garden gate? These borders also remind us of something important, that limitations, whether of budget, physical strength, or time, aren't barriers to beauty. They're invitations to creativity. To looking at what we have with fresh eyes and seeing possibility where others might see only leftover materials. That's a wisdom that comes with years of living. And it's why gardens tended by experienced hands often have a soul that new installations take years to develop. If even one of these edging ideas sparked a smile or a memory, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It helps other garden lovers like you find our little community here. I'd love to know, which border idea would you try in your garden? Or do you have a clever one we didn't mention? The comments section below is like our virtual garden fence, a place to lean and share ideas with neighbors who speak the same language of soil and seasons. Perhaps you have a creative border already in your garden? I'd be delighted to see photos if you'd like to share them. After all, the best gardening ideas have always been passed between friends, haven't they? Next week, we'll be exploring fragrant plants that bring joy without demanding heavy maintenance, perfect for gardeners who want to engage all their senses without taxing their energy. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, tap that subscribe button and the little bell beside it. That way, we can continue growing together, one gentle gardening tip at a time. Subscribe to Golden Seniors Living, where every season brings new beauty, new ideas, and a reminder that your garden grows right alongside you. Where we believe that the wisdom in your hands deserves tools and techniques that honor both your experience and your changing needs. Until next time, keep growing, keep creating, and keep finding joy in every little corner you make your own. Your garden doesn't need to be the biggest or the most elaborate to be the most loved. It just needs to reflect the heart of the gardener who tends it. And from what I can see, that heart is beautiful indeed. Happy gardening, dear friends.